Hi there, it's D Heart here again. So today we're gonna do some tie-dyeing. I tried this on a couple different materials and I'm gonna walk you through what I did. What you're gonna need today is you're gonna need some food coloring. If you don't have food coloring, watercolor paint would work for this. If you don't have watercolor paint, you could probably use tempera paint and just water it down really well. I'm just doing this with food coloring because that's what I was trying to do, stuff that I could find around the house. So you're gonna need some containers. I have multiple containers. This one already has my food coloring water in it. These are just containers that I have usually for art making or leftovers. Not the same containers for both, but you could reuse containers like if you have yogurt or butter or plastic containers like that. You could reuse them. I also like these because they have lids, so if I want to save my colored water for another activity, I can. Okay, so I tend to find something that has a lid so that I can save it for later. You're going to need a little bit of water. You may want to use rubber bands or paper clips. That's not necessary. And then you're going to need either, I'm using paper towels. These are just regular square paper towels. You could use, this is just tissue paper for like packing gifts, or tissue paper that would come in like a shoebox. I cut it down to a more manageable size. This is just a square. I like using squares because they fold better. I found that the tissue paper didn't tie-dye as well. Let me show you some of my tissue paper ones. I just didn't think that these turned out super cute. They look kind of sloppy. Maybe a different type of tissue paper would work better, but I did try this out various ways and I just think they look kind of not so good. So I discovered the paper towel one. They work really well because they're absorbent. So if you have a few extras, honestly, I've only used 4 paper towels because I didn't want to be like super wasteful, but paper towels work. I think copy paper might work because it's a thinner paper. I did not try it on that, but the paper towels, they're dyeing really nicely. So yeah, let me walk you through getting started. Oh, you're also gonna need a paintbrush of any, that's not my paintbrush, that's my little stirring stick. You're gonna need a paintbrush of some sort. I don't care what size, whatever you need, depending on how old you are, your preference. Like maybe you want like a really giant brush to get a lot of color down. Mine is smallish to medium. This is the brush that I used yesterday for my stars on my galaxy. So let me get started. So I put a little bit of water in my dishes, and then what I'm gonna do is take my food coloring, and I have different food coloring here. I'm gonna make, this one's red, I believe. And you wanna be oh no, this one's green. You wanna be kind of generous with the food coloring. You can always add more if you need to. So I put some food coloring in there, and I'm gonna use, I have a little chopstick here. You could use a spoon, whatever you want, and just kind of stir that up so it's not all hanging on the bottom. I've had to add a little bit more to my lighter colors, like my orange. I'm gonna add a little bit more of my orange to my orange because that one's not dyeing super dark because it's a lighter color. My purple and blue, I have a turquoise. They're wonderful. I didn't need as much. So you can mix a batch and see how it turns out. If you need to add more, you need to add more. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my paper towel and I'm going to walk you through folding this a couple different ways. You can fold it however you want, really. So I start by folding it in half, and then I'm going to fold it in half again. Now I could be done, but I'm not going to be. I'm going to fold it into, I'm going to do a triangle. So now if you need something to hold this, you could use a paper clip or a rubber band. I'm just gonna use this like this. Another way I could fold this one here I have folded. So same steps I did in half, and then in half again. And then I folded it into rectangles. Another way that you could fold this, if you have a square, is corner to corner, creating triangles this way, and then corner to corner, And again, you could stop with this large triangle, or you could go other one. I'm going to keep this one large and see how that turns out. The more you do, the better it's going to be. So you could also use a rubber band if you wanted to hold something in place. A rubber band works really well, or a paper clip. Okay, so next what I'm going to do, I'm just going to kind of move these to the side so that you can see a little bit better. Move that to the side so you can see my workspace. So now what I'm going to do is I am simply going to take my paintbrush and I'm going to start, I do have a container here of water for rinsing, and I'm just going to start painting this. I want to saturate it. I want to make sure I have enough pigment. By the way, I have a piece of cardboard down. You could use placemats. If you have little messy makers, a cookie sheet with like maybe foil or newspaper on cookie sheet would work really well. So I'm really saturating, painting a lot of my little watercolor that I made with the food coloring. And not only am I going to saturate this side, I'm going to flip it and I'm going to do the same thing on this side, okay? The reason that you want to get a lot of color on there is so that it soaks and sinks through to the other layers. You'll notice this guy that I made, this one was one that I did on paper towel. My last little corner didn't get dyed as much, probably because I didn't saturate it as much as I could have, okay? I feel like these would look really cute, kind of hanging together, almost like garland. You could also trim them and make them different sizes and shapes after you're done. So once you get one color down, you can decide if you're going to do a design. I think I'm going to do this one in a stripe pattern. So I'm going to do all of my pink magenta color first. And again, whatever I do on this side, I'm going to do on the other side. I'm going to make it symmetrical. Symmetrical means the same on both sides. My artists know that term. Hopefully, if you don't know it, you do now. So I did that. I'm going to flip it and I'm going to add to this side. You can do as many colors as you want on this, and it doesn't have to be a pattern. If you wanted to make it random, try it. The more that you do, the better they're going to be. Like, you're going to practice and you're going to get better and better, and you might learn some tricks that maybe I didn't learn yet, and that's super cool. So I have that. I'm going to grab another color. I think I'm going to do the turquoise. And I like to overlap it a little bit, meaning like my turquoise is overlapping my magenta, because it's going to create, they're going to bleed and mush together, and they're going to create some new colors. So if I mix a reddish color like magenta and I mix a blue color like turquoise, they're going to create a purple where they're overlapping. Now at this point, I could probably take off the paper clip because the paper towel is damp enough that it's gonna stay folded, but I'm just gonna keep it on. So I got to go serve some food, like boxed pantry goods, at one of our schools today, and I got to see 2 of my art makers, and it was super exciting. I miss them so much, and I just want to be back in the classroom and teaching them. So it was really nice seeing those 2. And their parents. Yeah, I got to see them and their parents and their siblings. So now what I'm doing is I already have this side finished. I'm flipping over and I'm doing the other side. Now you're going to want to put these somewhere where they can dry. You're just going to keep them folded until they're completely dry. I recommend maybe a cookie tray, maybe a piece of cardboard. And just putting them to the side, because you're going to let them dry for probably an hour or 2. You want them to be completely dry when you open them up, because if they're still damp, they're going to be really fragile and they can tear easily. So put them somewhere and forget about them for a few hours. So there's my little rectangle guy, okay? And here's one that I did earlier, right before I filmed. He was a little triangle. This is one that I did yesterday, and this is what this one looked like when it was painted. And now this one's completely dry, and when I unfolded him carefully, I revealed the tie-dye. So yeah, simple tie-dye. Like I said, you could try it on other materials. They might work, they might not work, and that's part of the art making process. You might make art that looks totally terrible, and that's okay. You're still making, you're still having fun, you're still discovering some new things. So I'm gonna actually save these with a lid, because I might do another activity with these guys tomorrow or the next day, I'm not sure. Yeah, so I'm gonna put a lid on these, and I'm gonna save them for later, just stack them up and put them to the side where these guys might be drying. Okay, so thank you so much. Take care.